The one thing before we get started, if you're not on like talking, it would be awesome if you guys could like mute. There should be like a mute button on there.
Yeah, I got it.
There's my mute. All right. You guys ready? What's up,
I
Crashed It
guess.
Nation? This is Jonathan Wood. Thank you all for joining the Crashed It podcast. I know it's been a long time coming on this. We've been out for a while now, actually before championship night. So I thought, what a better way to do than just come on here with our past champions, our 2023 Lucky Sevens Promotions champions, and ask them, what's it take to become a champion? Where does it start? And today we got joining us Eddie Chick. He was the Super Stock champion of the Lucky Sevens Promotions. We also have Landon Worthy. He was your Compact Weld champion. Brandon Wardenhausen was their Gut and Go champion. We also have Henry Ray. He was your stock champion. And your overall champion was Tyler Ray. He's joining us as well for the full-size cars. So we'll just start out. First, we're going to start off with Tyler Ray. Tyler, just tell them, where does it all start? Like at the beginning of the year, is it something that you guys just decide that at the beginning of the year that you want to run for points, or for you, is it something that just kind of happened? Because for me, I know the competitor side of me is I've always, I've liked the stress of, I'm running for points, but I've talked to drivers in the past and some of them say, we just go to a couple shows and then mid-year, maybe we are running for points. But for you, Tyler, how's it for you? Like this year, did you have any attention for running for points, or was it something that just happened?
I had no point or no interest in running for points until like the third show. After it, I looked and I was leading the points for the overall. And I talked to my wife and I was like, you know what? I'm at the top. I might as well see if I can stay there. And that's pretty well how that ended up.
What about for you, Eddie
All
Chick?
worked out.
Eddie, did you just
For me, I wasn't going to run for points, tell you the truth. And then, I'm with Tyler on you run a couple and you're in first, and you might as well see how it plays out.
all right? What about for you, Brandon? Was it something that you decided beginning of the year?
No, it's pretty much the same. After I got a win in Eldon, and then went to Clinton the weekend after that and got another win. And seeing that I jumped ahead on points, I just wanted to try to stay there.
Henry, what about for you?
I was pretty well the same way. I had no intentions on running another points, and then I ended up getting ahead in the stock and wanted to stay there. And then Tyler wanted to really make a run for it, so I decided I'd try to run with him and see if we couldn't push him and keep him up there.
What about you, Landon? Because you've won points now on two different platforms, the figure eight platform and the demolition derby side. Was it something at the beginning of the year you decided to put your mind to, or is it kind of different with demolition derby?
And I just going out there running to have some fun and didn't really think about it till the second one in, and then it kind of got competitive after that.
And for all the listeners that are tuning in, or maybe you're a driver that's thinking about getting started, just so everybody knows, every single person on this podcast, this wasn't their first year running Demolition Derby. Um, it takes a lot of grit and a lot of learning to do throughout the years. Um, and I think with this day and age, there's a lot of people that'll run 1 year really hard. They'll try for points and they'll get so discouraged because they didn't take home points, champion, or maybe even break the top 10 or top 5. And Eddie, what do you tell people like that are just getting started and maybe are running into some walls? What would you say as now a champion?
Well, I would tell them that they got a long way to go, and they should try it. It takes good equipment and a lot of time in the shop. I mean, your equipment it's got to be reliable, and you got to be able to run multiple shows with your equipment.
I agree. And even I was talking to Brandon earlier today, and he ran the gut and go class. And a lot of them guys are running through one car per show. And Brandon, how many cars did you run through? You ran several shows this year, but how many
Yeah.
cars did you run?
Total for the year, I built 4 cars, but I stick with the same kind of car, so everything that I put in and buy for, I run Camrys. So all my stuff is for Camrys. So I'll finish one, tear it apart and build another. But, yeah, it took me 4 cars to get through this year.
And Landon, it's kind of different for you. You're running like a mod compact. How many cars did you end up going through just for the series, I'd say?
I think 2 is what I ended up going through, and I don't know that I'd even got to where I was if it wasn't for the other guys around in the shop helping out. We helped each other out in the shop with everybody's cars, and I was just the lucky one that got some testing done and the car held up to the abuse that some of them other guys like to throw out there on it.
So where's it all start though? So I'm going to talk to these two right here, Henry and Tyler. I'll go with Tyler first. When you built your car, you originally built it for the Border Wars, is that right?
Yes, I built that car for Border Wars because I opened my mouth and told Henry if he went, I would go. And then it just happened to work for the rules around here.
So when was Border Wars last year?
It was 7 days before the first Eldon show.
So 7 days, I think that was like April, wasn't it? Somewhere in there.
So when did you get June, but I'm not 100% sure.
Did you guys start building those cars in the winter, or is that something that you started like a week and a half before the Derby is what I'm trying to get at?
So like I had mine stripped at Thanksgiving, but I wanted to take mine to race days at Capitol Mall last year, so I was determined to have mine done in February so we could go up there, and Henry and Justin got those done too so we could take them up there to the mall.
Well, as a veteran of the sport, Eddie, when you build a championship car, is it something that you can throw together as a veteran in a week or two, or as someone at your level, where do you guys start on the super stock side or street stock side?
Well, this car, I ran it at Whiskey first, but I had this car about, I don't know, a quarter of the way built, and I left it sitting back there because there wasn't no place to run it after it got tilted. So I left it back there, and then Whiskey came up, so I built it for Whiskey, and I spent a couple of months on it, messing with it before we went out there. And, you know, cause I don't spend 24/7 out here. I got to work, but I try to spend as much time out here as I can. The older I get, the less I want to be out here.
Each
So it
one
was
of
a
you
couple of
guys,
months.
yeah. So each one of you guys endured the season. What's it like in the shop, like between shows? Is it a grind to get from show to show? Um, like how's it look at in your shops? Do you drive a certain way? Like if you're mid season, are you shutting your car down if something small breaks just so you don't have to work on it or as much, or is it something that um as the season goes on that you're grinding it out hour after hour just to piece things back together? I'll start with you, Brandon, for you on the gut and go side. How's it for you?
Well, it usually ain't just me. I mean, I do a little bit of work where at my job, they let me use the shop. So every car I ran this year, besides that wagon, I had to put a motor transmission in. But I mean, outside of that, outside of the mechanical side of it, Kyle, Derek, and Landon and everybody, we would work together and try to keep everything going. We weren't usually working on one car at a time. We had a lot of cars going at once, and it was a lot of late nights. I mean, but with all of us helping and getting them done, it made it a little easier.
About for you, Landon, on the compact side, or mod cars, they're a little heavier built.
Yeah, and like Brandon was saying, we got a couple different teams kind of working out of my shop, and if somebody decides they want to run, then everybody pitches in, and we figure out how to get somebody on the track. So last year Wes built a damn car. It was up till him and Xander, I think 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, just to run a Mokane show up there. So I mean, if we put our mind to it, we can get it done. Just like Tobin up there at Bash. I mean, he thought there was no way in hell he's going to be able to swap the motor out, the subframe, and get him back on the track. But 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, we made it happen. So that's just how our shop works. Do we like it? Hell no. Does our wives like it? Fuck no. But we make it happen.
Yeah. What about you, Henry? I think you're the one that posted last year at the end of the year you had like shoot, what was that? You had a whole stable of cars out there.
It took us 13 different cars, and we all made it through the season between me and Justin and my wife and Jace. And it's a grind trying to keep up with everybody's cars. Late nights, early mornings. And you're trying to run points, so you got to run 2 different cars to keep up with the overall, and then another car to run the bonus points, and then plus all the gut and go stuff. It was a long summer.
Every show we went to, I just look over, I'd see guys rolling in, and I was like, dang, that is dedication right there. I mean, we appreciate you guys showing up like that. I was like, holy smokes. It worries me though sometimes when I see people pushing that hard. And I'm sure as a promoter, as my brother Joshua, yeah, I think it worries him too, because we know I mean, when you're putting that much time and stuff, you gotta be just wore out and pushing burnout on that end. So, Tyler, you're one. Every every morning I'd wake up and I'd see a freaking Snapchat at like 2 a.m. from Tyler Ray working on cars, just piecing them together. How's the grind for you on that?
I have a extremely understanding wife. That's the best way to describe that.
That's a
think
good way to describe
you got to get it done, and she knows it ain't going to do itself. So she just really helps me out a bunch with that. And there was one night I was putting motor back in the car. It was well after midnight, and I texted her and asked if she was still up, and she said no. What do you need? And I just didn't say nothing back. And she come out in her nightgown and run the cherry picker and helped me get everything lined up and get the motor set in the car.
Oh, jeez. I
So I
guarantee
don't.
my wife wouldn't do that.
She's very supportive. Between her, Henry, Joey Prater, and Gabe Sparks, I don't think I'd have been able to get it done all year.
Uh, I mean, Sparks did some very impressive stuff to your guys' cars and parts that I didn't think was, I didn't think could be fixed. And then you show up and you show me I think it was a transmission that was all welded up, that was in a
Yeah,
bunch of pieces.
he welded my bell housing back together the night before the first Eldon show because I wasn't planning on running. It was 6 o'clock at night that Friday night. And my youngest daughter asked me if I was running the Derby, and I told her no, and she said she wanted me to run. So they got it all welded up, and me and Joey pulled an all-nighter and got it put together and run the Derby that next day.
So
But
Eddie,
Henry's bell housing was in way worse shape than mine, and they got it put back together for him.
yeah, I was impressed. So Eddie, when you were running the street stocks, they were kind of spread out more. Did you have kind of a similar grind
Yeah,
with
so
your car?
they were talking about transmissions. I lost a tranny at Peoria. I put one in before Eldon, and I tore it up at Eldon. It was howling, So I tore it up, even though I won. I broke it, and I had to go fix it again. So I had to take it back out. Jake had to rebuild it. We put it back in for Clinton. So, yeah, it was kind of a push around and, shuffling money and stuff like that. But this car, I ran this car 3 times. I still got it in my shop here. It took a first, second, and third and a 5th place at Peoria. So I thought it did pretty good because I almost junked it when I come home from Peoria, but it paid off, But it was a lot of work. I took the transmission in and out of it a couple of times. And then plus pulling it back down in the front, pulling it back down. The Eldon show only had 4 plates on it, so I brought it home after that show and put the other plates on it. When I went to Clinton, it had all 8 plates. So I did a few things before we went to Clinton that paid, I got second down there. It paid off. The hard work pays off, I guess. I got Zane and Kevin Rice. He helps me a lot. That's about it most of the time, unless I need the tranny or something worked on, and then Jake helps out with that stuff. A lot of info from other people, but it is some try. You got to stay after it.
So I got to ask you guys, what was your favorite part of 2023? Was there a show that stuck out in your mind that you had the most fun at? I'll start with you, Eddie. I'll just come back the other way.
I honestly, I had every time I drive, I have fun. The funnest show, I think the second Eldon was pretty fun. I mean, I was flying around that son of a bitch, dragging the ground, and that's probably the best fun I had. I mean, I had a good time at Clinton, but it wasn't like Eldon. that second element.
You, Tyler, what was your funnest show or your most fun show?
Definitely Richland.
Yeah, that
It
had to be one for the books. I thought I was about to get the highlight reel of the year at the end of that show. But anytime you take first and second place with your brothers, I mean that's got to be a fun one.
Well, if I wouldn't have broke 2 rods, we would have had 2 junk cars.
I
But
guarantee it.
It wasn't just the stock class there. The MWFA class, like that was a lot of fun too. It was just everything about the Richland show was a lot of fun.
About you, Henry, what was your favorite show this year?
I'm going to have to go with taking my Diplomat to Versailles and taking 1 and 2 with Tyler. I was flying around that track in that little Chrysler that could. I think I had the most fun driving and fun at the end of the night with that little Diplomat up there at Versailles.
Yeah, and you guys, that was the show that kind of Chris McDaniel, he was making a push for the points, I mean, all year long. And that was kind of the show that solidified the points at the end of the year. And man, you guys didn't mess around. It was definitely like you guys could tell you guys were gunning for each other. And uh, that was awesome derby to watch as a fan of Demolition Derby. And, you know, it's got to be awesome as a promoter to watch a show like that when you know their guys are running for points and, you know, everybody's friends off the track, but they're out there just giving it all they got. So. You, Brandon, what was your favorite show?
I'm gonna say Mokane. I ran really conservative all year, trying to keep my nose clean and run smart. And Mokane was the one show that I put a car together that I wasn't worried about running it again. So I took it up there, and I didn't even have a radiator in that car. I was whatever was in front of me, I was just going to try to smoke it. So that was a fun show for me.
Yeah, you got out of the car and you're like, dang, the one show I junk a car, I don't even bring home a Mad Dog. I could tell you really wanted the Mad Dog that night, but
That car
there's
was
a couple
ruined.
people sending it. What about you, Landon? What was your favorite show of the year?
Yeah, I had a couple of them. California was a good one because that was the car that we pushed to the limits, and then Brady and them coming up there running that, and then going to their stomping grounds and running Mokane. So, and not to get tuck out in the first 30 seconds like the previous year. So that those 2 shows was probably my best.
Yeah, and man, you had a really hard shot there in Mokane too. Was that the night you burnt it down?
Yeah, it caught on fire. I think transmission fluid, it got hot enough and come up and caught everything on fire.
Yep. So I've always had people ask me that have no meaning in the sport. What, for any of you guys, what makes a derby fun? Like people ask me what why these guys do it. And it's no better to hear it from the champions. Like what makes it fun for you guys? Why do you do it? We'll start with you, Brandon.
Well, there's a lot of reasons why I personally do it. I mean, to me, getting out there and just wrecking them cars and being out there and getting your adrenaline going is fun in itself. But, you know, for me and my brothers and my dad, we like running together, and it's kind of like family time for us. And then, you know, also outside of family, there's a lot of good guys in the sport. You get to know a lot of good people. and you work with them, and some of them guys will give you the shirt off their back, and without asking anything in return. And so there's just, to me, there's a lot more pros than there is cons with it. I mean, yeah, a lot of people see it as taking a car out there and trashing it, and you may or may not make any money off of it, but it's just all around a good time to me.
All right. Perfect answer. Before we get to you, Landon, I've got a question coming in from the YouTube chat. They ask, what do you even do on your builds?
See, that's just the camaraderie of my team that I guess that you could say it's out the shop. We do not hold back on each other, obviously, as you can tell. And I'm going to say it's probably a couple of people. It's either Seth or, I mean, it could even be Wesley. I mean, all they do is stand around and mouth and get drunk and pierce their nipples and earrings and everything else in the shop. So that's just kind of the shenanigans that goes around, which, I think you have to do that in order to stay half-ass sane in this sport. But everybody's competitive, and it's, you've seen it over the years, that the rivals between other teams, and then you just think that it might be a fight in the pit, and then after a season or two, then I mean, hell, everybody's friends. So it's just that transition from being super competitive to becoming friends with people you wouldn't thought that you'd be friends with or helping out. But it's just that type of sport, and there's nothing like it.
Good answer. What about you, Henry? What makes it? Why do you do the sport? Like, what makes it fun for you?
I just like being in the shop and building stuff. I like going out there and visiting with everybody every weekend, and I just like to hit stuff really hard.
Let's say.
I don't know. There's no feeling like just lining something up and letting it eat, and if it's still running, back up and try to do it again. And it just makes the sport better when everybody out there, when it's all done, just had a good time. You can get out and visit and just talk about what just happened.
So do you have to go out and like carry a pen with you everywhere you go? Because God dang, I think I was looking at my analytics from some of them reels, and I bet you have over 500,000 views on across some of them videos. You know, most of your videos I posted of your reels are like 180,000, 200,000 views per reel. You gotta just carry a pen with you.
I can tell you this: there's a lot more people that know me than I know them, as I get hollered at a lot when we go places. But yeah, it definitely shows something.
Yeah. What about you, Tyler?
I'm thinking about putting Real Hunter on the next car for you.
Oh, sweet. What about you, Tyler? Why do you do it? What makes it fun, or what drives you to do the demolition derby?
Honestly, I probably wouldn't do it if it wasn't for Henry, because I give it up for several years, and just watching Henry doing it and having so much fun, I just got back into it. But I sure do enjoy working in the shop on them.
I mean, it's a challenge finding, the gray areas and learning as you go, like what a car is gonna do when you hit something a certain way, or that there's a lot of math and stuff and thought behind the builds that people don't even realize. It's definitely a
Yes,
challenging sport. That
it is. This year, I have definitely completely changed my build style as far as reading rules and what I have done and what went through, what didn't go through, and all that stuff. But that's what you got to do if you want to get better, I guess.
Yeah, that's for sure. What about you, Eddie? Why do you do demolition derby?
Well, that's the only hobby I've had for 37 years. And like Henry said, I love coming out here, making stuff, working in the shop. I got Zane out here now. We're both building cars here, so that's father and son. I mean, you can't get no better than that. And then when I get to run with Teddy and Rob, and even when I come down and run with Henry and everybody, they're all just, we all shake hands when we get out. There's no hollering, I'm going to whip your ass or anything like that. I like the friends I've made over all these years. And I told Zane one day, I said, son, you're not going to college. I spent all your college money on my derby cars. So that was, other than that, I don't know. I just can't get away from it. Even when I got hurt for 2 years, I didn't sell any of my stuff. I kept everything. I did almost quit, and Stacy reminded me that my son is doing my sport, so I couldn't quit. I had to stay into it. I don't know. I think I get to be every time I drive, I seem like I get better and better, and I think the more seat time a person gets, the better and better they're going to get. I try not to discourage anyone from coming to the sport because I say get good equipment, get in there and drive to your best ability. And if you lose, just lick your wounds and build another car and get right back out there. Because one of these days, the kids has got to take our place, the young kids. So if they got questions for me, I always try to help them. We were at Whiskey. There were some kids working on their car, and I stopped and helped them. I went over to Muse's trailer, NLR's trailer, and he gave me some fuel line for them, and the kid went back over with me, and he thanked him. Jonathan, he didn't charge him anything for the hose. So I thought that was really cool. I got to help that kid get his car running. Other than that, I like seeing my buddies and, going to talk, just like Henry says, just going out, talking to everyone, building the best car you can build. And me, I know when I build my car, I know I can use it, if that makes any sense. I know I can use the front. I know I can use the back. I know what the back's going to do most of the time. I pretty much build them all the same, the back, and everything.
That's
just good
sure.
parts, good people. And like Henry said, I go to places and I got, 20-year-olds coming up saying, hey, I've been watching you since I was a little kid. And it kind of makes me feel old. I guess I am getting old, but I don't feel like I'm 57. I feel like I'm 40 again or whatever, but I guess it's just my nature.
And I got a question on YouTube for all you guys from William White. He asked, what was the hardest run for the win, or what was the hardest show that maybe you had something happen during the show inside the car that no one knows about that you had to overcome and to keep your car running? We'll start with you, Landon.
Well, I had a hell of a time up there at Bash. Spent a bunch of money getting that car ready, and then for a damn crank sensor to get loose, it killed it both times. And it's still in the shop. I got to get that bracket welded to where it'll hold, but it's always the stupid stuff, just the little things that you don't think could take you out will take you out.
Yeah.
What about you, Tyler? What was your hardest run for the win, or what was something that you had to overcome in the car that no one knows about?
So the second Eldon show, the last time that me and Eric hit nose to nose, when my car came up, I had a single jointed steering wheel. My wheel came down and smashed my leg. I reached out and broke my stick and was still going forward, trying to stay out of everybody's way while I was shoving my leg down, jerking the steering wheel off. and finally got over against the wall and got everything shut down. I had a baseball-sized bruise on my leg from where the steering wheel come down and hit my leg. That was probably the worst thing that's happened to me in a car that really nobody knew about.
Yeah, I seen the hit, and I seen you reaching up while you're rolling across the track, and I mean you're rolling right towards where I was at, but I didn't really know about that until I talked to you later on. And yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes there's a lot going on inside the car that people don't know about, um,
Uh,
from the stands
that
or
was the
even
last.
even if you're up on the berm.
Yeah, that was the last time I ran a single joint steering shaft. I completely rebuilt it after that.
Henry, what was your hardest show to run for the win or to run it down?
I'd say my biggest thing I overcame was deciding to swap motors and transmissions into my car from last year to go run Mokane. Got the motor all put in, and it blew a freeze plug out behind the cradle. So I shoved another one in there with the rubber joint one, and it sealed up. Well, then come to find out the block was cracked, so we filled it full of black pepper. It quit leaking. We went to Mokane. The heat started, and it started blowing all that hot water and everything. It finally built enough pressure and blew it all out, and had all that steam all over me and was able to keep it cool for the most part to pull it off at Mokane. That was probably the hardest thing to overcome and make the show that I did this season.
You, Eddie, do you have something that you had to overcome, or what was the hardest show to drive it down to the win, or pretty close up there on the podium?
Well, so at Eldon when I won, I didn't have any steering. I made a hit, and it flexed, and the whole slide come off of the gearbox. And Zane ended up finding it out there on the ground, and what had happened was when I come back from Whiskey, I pulled it down, and I didn't get the set screw set right, and it just popped off, and I drove that whole thing and ended up winning. You know, Rob, he lost reverse, so I guess I might have got lucky that night. But the steering I had to overcome that. That's about the hardest thing, other than Peoria. I had two flats, and the transmission was slipping, and I still limped it down to fifth place. The training was slipping pretty bad, and I was afraid it was going to catch on fire. So, I wasn't pushing it that hard to make it go. I lost them tires on the right side, and that pretty much ended my night at fifth place there. But those two are the only thing I can think of this year that really messed things up. And then when I run the racetrack, I borrowed that motor, and it was knocking before we came to the racetrack. And when I took and drove it to the trailer, the mains were rattling in it because it didn't have any oil pressure. So those three things, that was kind of a rough decision at the racetrack to go ahead and run with that motor the way it was.
I knew you were gonna say Eldon because you lost steering pretty instant there. I mean, you
Yeah.
drove that whole derby without steering.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think one of my tires were flat too on the back. I didn't get the pinch bead locks put together till that last show, that last Eldon show. And I still got a flat down there. I think something caught my stem. The tire stayed on. The pinch beads definitely work. They definitely help a lot. Doubling the 25s and putting that pinch on there, that did the trick. At least I didn't lose a tire like I had been doing. And it gets expensive.
Yeah. What about you, Brandon? What was your something that you had to overcome throughout this year? The hardest show that you had to drive down to win?
Well, I had, for the most part, something going on at most of the shows, but the first car I built at the first Eldon show, I didn't place, but I messed the front of the frame up pretty bad. So we pulled it back out, and I wasn't really going to run it again, but Kyle and Derek and everyone kept telling me, "I will pull it back out, use it again, just don't use the front." So, um, coming out of Eldon, we went into Clinton, and I just tried using the back end up as best as I could because the frame was already pretty messed up, and I ended up using up the rest of the back end on that car. But that's the only one that I placed, I guess, as far as something going on with the car. I mean, when I got second at the third Eldon show, at a partway through the Derby, I noticed the car started dying on me every time I hit somebody, and it was starting to miss out. And I got down to second, and my dad got first, and ripped that motor out and found out the valve seats dropped out of the head. So that's what was causing all the problem there. But I mean, I'd say the biggest problem I had was in Mocane. No, the power cable got caught in the fender and from it being all folded over, and I'm holding the power cable to the battery and it's burning my hand, and I'm shooting sparks out the front end, and I'm just holding it there to keep it going. But
Yep. Risking life and limb just to win a Derby. So, what's it feel like, Brandon? You're a champion. Is it something that you can hang your hat on, or is it something that it's just another thing for you? Like, how
well,
does it make you feel being a champion?
I had to take a lot of shit throughout the year, especially for my brothers being called Full Send Mafia and having to run as conservative as I did. I listened to it every fucking day. But you know, it was something I really wanted to do, and I was only going to try it this one time, so I wanted to make it count. Because, like I said, I come back out next year, and after that, I'm going to go back and just go out there to have fun and party. I'm not going to run the way I did before, but it was still a lot of fun. It's stressful trying to stay up there in the points, though.
Yeah, I'll believe it. What about you, Landon? What's um what's it feel like to be one of only, I think, two people now to be compact champion and a figure eight champion?
I just same to me. I still catch shit from all the way around about, oh, I got a sympathy mad dog here, or got lucky there. You know how it is around our shop. The only other thing I'd like to try to do is maybe do the gut and go points. I'm going to try to go after that maybe.
Henry, for you to be a champion, how's that feel? Points champion for a
It
season
feels
and Derby.
it felt pretty good. It felt like a big accomplishment for all the hard work put into it. I did catch some stuff about not driving like I usually do, but I thought when the time was right, I did. I My biggest favorite thing is when you're watching a video and you're out of town and people you don't even have a clue who you are, and you smoke somebody and the crowd stands up and cheers. That watching the videos when it's over, but this year backing off some and making sure I hang in there in the points. It was something rewarding at the end of the year to show that the hard work paid off and I can still drive both ways.
Yeah, you definitely did that. I know I was giving you crap, but I was just giving you crap. You definitely drove hard and drove smart, and you never knew kind of as a person that videos, I was like, when's he? I know he's gonna send it, but when is he gonna send it? It's kind of that's
I
kind of a challenge. I watch a lot of videos just to like of tendencies and stuff, and I'm sure you guys as drivers watch videos just to learn tendencies of other drivers on the track and stuff like that. I was like, when's Henry gonna send it? I know it's coming, but
I'd say my biggest one of the season where everybody was wanting to feed it was at Mocaine when I backed all the way the other end of the track, and that was probably the hardest one, just to sit there and wait.
oh yeah, yeah, that one was a very that was a chess match there at Mocaine for that class.
The old Chrysler's motor still kept ticking. She was hotter than all get out though, but I didn't know how many more wide open runs arounds it was going to have in it with no water in it. It done ran, I don't know, probably 10 minutes with none in it to start off with.
Tyler, what about you? How's it feel to be champion? Tyler, can you hear me? Did this thing free?
Yep, I can hear you. It feels good. Got the banner hanging in the shop and all the trophies sitting up.
Yeah, I mean
Just
that
go ahead.
to be overall full size champion. That's got to be something that no one can ever take from you. I mean, there's a lot of hard work that goes into that, and at least whenever your kids get older, or maybe if you have grandkids, they can say, what's that? You have a story to tell for sure, and a lot went into that. A lot
Yeah,
of people
probably
that listen to this. Go ahead, Tyler. Sorry.
the first week or so after it was all over with, I just had it all laid out on the workbench in the shop, and I just stared at it like all that work every night, all summer, and this is what I got. And I didn't have nothing to work on, so I was just sat and stared at it.
How about you, Eddie? Street stock
It feels pretty
champion.
good. It feels pretty good. It's an accomplishment for sure. And I don't know. After we ran that last show, I came home. I didn't do anything. I got the cars unloaded, and I didn't do nothing. I don't know. It feels pretty good. We ran point shows a bunch of times, and you know, I never won my first point show. We ran quite a few of them. Me and Trey were right there in the Iowa points that year, and my truck broke down on the way up there, and Trey ended up getting first in the points because nobody could touch us. Me and him were right there. It was going to be one of our shows. It depended on who came out on top with the most points, but the truck broke down, and I ended up going down to fourth place. I still thought that was pretty fair for the truck breaking down, and I didn't make that last show. But the one thing about running points is you got to put the work in, and sometimes I don't want to do all that work. But after you run that first show or that second show, like the first show I won, so that made me keep going. That just made me keep going. So it's pretty nice to walk away with some trophies and the memories. The memories you can't pass those up.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, guys, I really appreciate each and every one of you guys coming on this podcast. Is there something that you want to say to someone that maybe helped you along, or any sponsors or anyone that just helped you throughout the year that you wanted to say something to before I get you off here?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Kevin Rice. I'd like to thank Jake, Rob, everybody that helps me along the way. My son Zane, he does a lot. My wife, she puts up with a lot. Now, she usually doesn't gripe at me too much, except for on school nights when Zane's out here with me, because usually he won't go in without me. So I just want to thank everybody for helping me, that helps me out. I know I miss people, but they all know I care and I appreciate it.
We sure appreciated you showing up to all the shows and putting on a show.
Well, I'll be back. If y'all have some super stocks, I'll be back. I'm getting ready to build a new car. I got the red car I got to finish off. I'm going to do a little work to it, but I'm going to put my tranny brace and stuff in it because it didn't have none of that stuff when I came to the racetrack. But it's a super stock car now, so I might as well finish it off first. And then I got one fresh one I'm building. Fresh or whatever I decide to get pulled out of the weeds. Yeah, I may have to pull one out of the weeds.
Yeah, Joshua's been waiting in the wings. Maybe after I get you guys off here, we'll talk a little bit about the Lucky Sevens and what's going on with that if he gets back up on here. But thanks, Eddie. I didn't want to take too much of your time tonight. At the beginning of this thing, I sent out a message to all these drivers and said just 10 minutes. I was gonna just do one at a time, but I was like, it'd be easier if I just had everybody in here. So I didn't want to keep you on here too long.
You know, I can probably speak for everyone. You know, you can holler at us. We'll come on anytime you want to have us on.
I appreciate it for sure. I know the fans at home, they enjoy listening to a different aspect of Demolition Derby and getting to know the drivers and just different things that maybe went on that they didn't know about. So that's why I did this podcast in the first place. It's just to shed more light on the drivers of this sport and give the drivers a little bit of a platform to talk about what went on.
Yeah, I know. I got so many people coming up to me, and they're like, "We come to every Derby and watch you guys drive," and that means a lot. That keeps you coming back too.
For sure. Tyler, you got anyone you want to say thank you to?
Mom and Dad with Raceline Landscaping, and my wife, Henry, Gabe Sparks, GSP, makes 90% of my Derby stuff, and Joey Prater for all the help.
Yeah, when these guys are thanking you guys, there's so much time and effort that goes into these cars in the shop that people in the stands, they don't know. They don't know how how the builds went or anything like that. They don't know about all the time that you spend away from your family or nothing like that. All they know is they're there and hoping someone shows up and puts on a show. And they just, it's just a lot that goes into it. And we can't thank you guys enough.
There is a lot that goes into it. And I forgot one person. BW Tires and Wheels. I ran the same 4 tires all year and never had a problem. So I want to give them guys a shout out too.
All right. Henry, got anyone you want to thank?
Pretty well. Everybody that Tyler just said. Mom and Dad with the company. Tyler, Justin, Casey and the boys. Cody and AJ with BW Tires and Wheels. Gabe, huge shout out to Gabe. And Simpson Grading. Chancellor helped put in a lot of work this year at the track, and I got him a big old banner on the side of one cars. And Trailer Trends and Envision Signs and Wraps. Matt out at Envision sure does do a good job hooking up the stickers to put on the cars.
What about you, Brandon? Do you have anyone you want to say thank you to?
Yeah. My wife put up with me being at the shop till 2 or 3 in the morning all year, and we had some sponsors going into Lebanon. We had Stacy's Designs and Nathan's Tires, Grooch Tree Service. Corey Davis got me the computer and harness, and then my work, Sacalaris, allowing us all to build our cars in that shop for Lebanon. And then outside of that, I want to thank Landon for allowing us to come over and do some work over there at his place and taking up his space, and Kyle and Derek and my dad. Like I said, it's pretty much all hands on deck when it comes to this stuff. So I'm sure there's a lot of people involved in it that, I don't say, but I do really appreciate the help. I know Xander, he did a lot of welding on my first car too. So it's there's a lot going on behind the scenes, that's for sure.
Yeah, Xander will appreciate that shout out. He's been on the chat all night. How about you, Landon?
Well, we got Above and Beyond sponsoring Tobin's and of course Worthy Bell Bonds. And you got, Puss Cake that helps out. And then you got Kyle and his brothers, Derek, Brandon, and of course our old ladies. They come out to the shop or started coming out to the shop because they knew we weren't gonna get home anytime soon. So they wanted to see us. They knew they needed to come up to the shop, and always turned into a good time up there. But I don't know. I like surrounding myself with a bunch of people you can work with, get shit done, and still have a good time doing it and poking jabs at one another. As you can see, I'm sure on that YouTube channel with Xander and Seth and Wes, they definitely keep. You're not going to get a big head in our shop by any means, because you're going to get humbled pretty damn quick.
Yeah, I'm sure they opened the garage door for you.
Yeah.
You guys, I like seeing that kind of stuff out there. That definitely makes it fun for, the people on the berms and stuff, seeing you guys messing around. And as an announcer, I love it. I love seeing the camaraderie that each and every one of you guys bring to the sport. Every one of you guys have fans out there. I hear it as an announcer when I'm announcing you guys' names coming on the track. You can hear the fans that each one of you guys have got, and you don't get fans just for being there. You get fans by putting in the dedication, the time, the effort, and putting on a show like each and every one of you guys continue to do. And I just want to say thank you. I don't know, Joshua, are you around here? You still there? He's been in and out. I think he's probably putting his kids to bed. I was gonna see.
Yeah, I forgot a couple of people. I want to thank Jake Reed for Motors and Trannies. I couldn't do it without him. And Michael White for the methanol this year. I kind of fell in love with that stuff again. I didn't want to leave those two out. Jake was the main one. He does all their motors and stuff for me, and they don't fail me very often. So thank you for letting me add that.
No problem. Hold on just a second here. I think Joshua wanted to say something earlier. He kind of got on here. He's been popping on and in and out. I think he wants to say something on behalf of Lucky Sevens.
I
I
think
can
we
just tell
bored
you
him,
guys.
and
Yeah, I probably did.
I think
Probably me. It probably wasn't you guys. It's probably me.
nah,
I thought you
I
guys,
think it was us probably.
but
No, you
I just
guys
want to
always
say
treat me with respect.
I can tell
I
you
get
guys.
nothing but respect from everyone.
I can tell you, Jacob and Joshua was very thrilled with each and every one of your guys' support this year. They've always tried being super fair to every single person, and they always try their best to make sure that the drivers they put the drivers first before anyone else. And there's Joshua
Yep.
right there. Joshua, you got anything you want to say to these guys before I get them out of here? Before I
No,
let them
I think you
off the hook.
did a good job. It's always awesome seeing all the guys. I know you hit on a couple things that, kind of make a champion. You talked about seat time and how much dedication it takes. But one of the things that you didn't touch on is just, like the talent aspect of it. You talked about building, but there is all of these drivers, man, they're just so talented at what they do. And you, like seat time is a big part of building talent, but sometimes you can have all the seat time in the world, and you're still not as talented as the next guy. But all of these drivers on here are so talented at what they do, and they have dedication and all that other stuff that you've already talked about. But man, it's awesome to hear that kind of their wrap up stories of 2020 2023. But it was fun watching them all compete. We're glad to be able to watch them. Give them a place to put on a show. It's awesome.
Well, we thank you too. We appreciate everything you guys do.
We didn't ask about is the mentality aspect. I think that's something that a lot of drivers struggle with. I know, I can't remember who was saying earlier, but they just talked about how they love to crash cars. Probably one of the Ray boys, but even them boys, they try to kind of change their driving style a little bit. But what's the mentality like? You show up to a show, is it I just want to have fun, or is it I'm here to win, or is it I'm just here to compete? Like, I want to hear from the champs, what's the mentality when you pull into a show? What mentality do you bring?
I always go in as I'm the underdog and got something to prove.
Oh,
That's a good way to
Landon's
put it.
mentality
That's
is
how I
the
usually
underdog. And we'll go with Brandon next. What's your mentality?
Every time I go out and I get behind the wheel, I feel like I learned something as far as what not to do out there, and what kind of shots to take, and obviously where not to get hit, and just keep. First couple years I did this, I didn't win anything. I didn't place any fourth, thirds, no mad dogs, and then a couple years into it, and you just get better and better, as long as you're paying attention to what's going on and what you're doing, and how you're building the cars. So for me, it's just I want to take as much as I can from it. And I feel like if you do this sport, you try it for the first time, you either don't do it or you just become addicted to it.
Henry, what's your mentality when you show up to a derby? What was your mentality this year? Were you thinking I'm going for the win, or did it change from derby to derby? Or
I never went with the full all-out intention to win. I usually went and put on a show with what we had there and try to keep Tyler up at the top. I really like showing up. Like Landon says, I feel like I'm the underdog. I have a good theory that looking tough is half the part. In all my cars, they look right, and they're not usually up to par with some of the best builders, but there's no bought parts on it. Everything is built or fabbed up over at Gabe's, and we just put it together what we got. But I definitely feel like looking the part is over half the battle, because when you're younger and you show up to the track, I can remember showing up and you see all the built cars showing up, and then you've got something pretty stock. You already got yourself beat in the head. But the mentality part of it is just show up to have fun, and whatever happens, happens. We either drive fast pace or sometimes we set the pace.
How about you, Tyler? What was your mentality throughout the year? I'm sure it probably changed for you.
Yeah, my mentality changed a lot, but a lot towards the end of the year. It always started out just to go have fun. Like when we went to Border Wars, I told Tommy, and he can tell you this. I said, I'm going to back off the wall, and I'm going to hit the first thing I come to wide open. And I did. I spent months building the car, drug it 6.5 hours, and hit the first thing I seen wide open, nose to nose. Terrible idea, but I did it. And towards the end of the year, my mentality was, I just got to finish ahead of Chris.
I'm sure that was his mentality too. Like, I gotta beat Tyler. Uh, you two were competitors, and I mean, you both wanted it. At the end of the year, you could tell that both you guys were in it to win it and to try to win the points.
Yeah, and my wife does not like it when I drive. She likes it when I go out there and back off the wall and hit the first thing I see as hard as I can. So I told her that whenever I was getting ready to go to Versailles that I was going to drive to win, and she stayed at home because she didn't want to watch me drive like that. And turns out she missed the first time I won.
Wow, that was your first win. I didn't know that.
That's the one and only. And I'll say this, like I was pretty wound up when it happened, and coming back from Versailles back home, which is 17 miles, I made it to Barnett, and it hit me. Like, you know what? I didn't win that Derby. Henry won it for me when he poked AJ in the dirt, and there they sat.
Oh yeah, he put him in the dirt, all right, and in the passenger seat.
He definitely put him in the passenger seat.
What's your mentality, Eddie? Do you just go to does it when you show up to Derby, are you just saying, "Yep, I'm here to win it"?
Yeah, I think everyone should, I think everybody should go to win, but I've learned how to turn on the switch and turn it off. So I used to drive crazy like Henry, and I was tearing up cars and I wasn't winning no money. And then when I started driving, new style cars will learn you how to drive. Because you ain't got that many hits with them, and they're up in the air. So then you got to fight it the rest of the night. But I think you should go to win. But I think the switch could flip any minute. When you're out there. Does that make any sense?
We've seen that happen too. When
Yeah.
people
Well,
get
like I
bored
say,
or lose
I'm
their
not
temperature.
opposed. I'm not opposed to turn it on because I will. I turned it on a little bit at the end of the show down there at Clinton on Prater, and I roped him twice, and I usually don't hit people like that. But my son, he said, "Dad, I watched you back up that first time, and it wasn't far enough. And when you came back the second time, you backed up to the dirt and let him have it, and both front wheels were off the ground." I was like, "Oh shit, I probably shouldn't have done that." I still got second place, but normally I don't like driving like that, but I will. Does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
yeah, it does. You got anything else for him, Josh? Or are we gonna let these guys get on with their night?
Fuck, it ain't Derby season. These guys ain't got nothing better to do.
Actually, we stubbed the car today. Me and Zane did. An old pre-run, but we got the stub under it. That's it.
Nope.
So we did a little bit.
I just can't thank them all enough for all their support. I mean, they put on a hell of a show. They had a hell of a year. And they're all like just the best people. That's what I can say above Derby or anything. All what is there five guys here? I'd give my shirt off my back and they'd give theirs, and it's it's they're definitely part of a brotherhood. That's for sure.
Yeah, I always say Derby is the best sport. Demolition Derby is the best sport.
Amen, brother.
It is. I said it a million times. It keeps me coming back. Promoters, you guys with Tommy kept everything fair with everyone, and Tommy's a good inspector. He's very good. Didn't you all think he did a good job?
Yeah. Love Tommy. Yep.
Yeah, I love the guy too. He's been a good friend, and he didn't, the things I changed, I showed him what I changed. He looked at my car. He said, "Yep, that's all you changed." So I felt pretty fortunate about not having to cut anything on that car. I just didn't, I didn't put my hands in it too much. I just fixed what needed to be fixed and got it back on the road.
I'm usually a big fan of inspectors too when I don't have to cut anything.
Yep. Honestly, we always want a clean tech when we go to the show. We want them to stick to the rules. We all know that everybody's got something from other shows, and everyone tries to work with them. And they all do a pretty good job. I see a lot of guys getting pissed off and loading their car, and they may have too much to fix at that point. If they think they got too much, they should not go to that show, is the way I think.
Yeah. If you show up to a show, and you're overbuilt, you better expect a cut.
That's why I
Yep.
always just put $100 bills on the frame rails and call it good.
That's a good idea. It might have helped back in the day, but times are changing. A lot of people are going to unified. They want unified rules. They want to be able to go and run their cars, at numerous shows instead of just one. I mean, I'm sure you all agree that you go run a car at one place, you can't bring it home and run it anywhere because it doesn't fit in. And Lucky Sevens let us do that this year. They brought that. Micah White, that whole Superstock class was. I'm glad that came in.
You guys have any questions for us before we get off here?
We're
When's the
just waiting
schedule
on
coming
rules.
out?
Yeah, schedule.
I knew that was coming. That's a question for the Lucky Sevens.
Well,
But I'm sure.
at least
I'm
you
sure
got.
we're working on all that.
Yeah, I mean, at least y'all got two classes that I could run. Stock. If you keep the super stock, I can run super stock and stock. I can build. Well, I think I can keep. I don't know if I can keep up with all that. I may not make them all, but I will run some of your all shows, just because of the tech.
What's the rumors about this team gut and go deal? Is it going to happen?
Or maybe a mild weld.
I heard it was gut and goes with cradles.
That'll work too.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they have to
We'll
run
see.
on methanol.
We're working with a bunch of different people. We got bids out. We got a couple shows lined up, but scheduling with fair boards and Lions clubs and whatever other organizations or just tracks in general, always seems to be somebody dragging their feet or red tape to go through, or they want to get more information, whatever. It takes a long time, but we'll start getting those dates posted. We got our first one, our first figure eight date locked down. Rules are getting finalized, so kind of like Jonathan, we actually probably like a lot of derby drivers. We felt a lot of burnout, leading up to that last show. And just completely transparent, whenever my brother took me out, man, I was pretty pissed off. So I wanted to. I mean, I'm still a little bit worked up about it. So that really slows the gears with Lucky Sevens whenever there's friction between us two. So
Hey, you got to keep the trophy, so
yep.
Well, I appreciate everything y'all did and do.
yeah, they're working
I'm
through a bunch of stuff. So bear with them, everybody. Everyone keeps messaging me, and I don't know. That's all between Jacob and Joshua to line out. All I do is announce and try to help you guys out. I will say before I get off here with everybody, um, some things that Crash is going to do a little bit extra this year. We're going to have in-car cams. I purchased some GoPros and stuff like that to help. I'm working with a couple of manufacturers right now on some indestructible GoPro mounts, because the last thing I want to do is throw a bunch of brand new cameras in these cars and have them destroyed in the first night out. So we're going to put them to the test at Capital City Carnage, and our hope is to have a bunch of in-car footage to add to what the people see at home. And also gives everyone another perspective on what the driver's seeing. And, you know, you get it still slows down the footage a little bit with the GoPro, but you get the feel more like you're in the car. So a 15-mile-an-hour shot in the car looks like a 25-mile-an-hour shot, you know, um, for those that
Yeah, we get to see you get your
when
head
you're in the
knocked off.
car, you feel like you're going a lot faster than what you see on video. So
Yeah. All right. Well,
we'll
I'm
work
gonna have to
with
get off here, guys.
yep, we thank you
My
guys.
dog. Yeah, thank you. My dog is wanting to go out, but yeah, we'll catch up with y'all soon. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, thanks for coming on. But
Congratulations, everyone.
You too,
Thanks,
It
Eddie.
was a
guys.
tough season.
another thing that
All
I
right,
wanted to
appreciate
mention.
it.
Yep, thanks, Eddie.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be in touch.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention is I've
Uh-huh.
got you're still on here.
No, I'll get off here.
Yes. Another thing I wanted to mention is I've been working with to get some merchandise made. I've had a bunch of people reach out about some merch for Crashed It, and I've been working on getting shirts and hats and stuff like that designed. He said he's about done. I've decided to go with Hill Job just because I like the way he screen prints his stuff. Um, so I'm working with them. He sent me a design. I sent him a design. He sent me another. We're working on finalizing exactly what it's gonna look like. So, guys, just we appreciate everybody. We're gonna have this podcast weekly, and I'm sure every now and then Joshua or Jacob will jump on here, and they're super busy guys, so I'm sure they'll jump on here when they can, and you know give you guys some information that's soon to be coming out as well as on their website. So thanks for everything. Thanks for coming on, guys. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I appreciate you having us on here. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys.
And
Thanks
like
a lot.
I've always, you know what I'm going to say this year is a new slogan I'm going to have is bend 'em and send 'em, baby.
There you go.
Send 'em and bend 'em. Oh,
Hey,
thanks
before
for
you
coming
guys get
on.
off
Thanks for
here,
tuning in.
hey, before you get off here,
Later.
Jonathan,
Oh,
We'll
just
see you at
420
Carnage.
420
What's
is our first show. So come celebrate the holiday with us. I know there's a lot of
Charlie
420
Burns will
people
be
out
there.
there. So
It's his
Charlie
number. He's
Burns
got to
is
be there.
rolling in.
Can I plug another show just for 1 second? It's for a good cause, I feel like.
Of course.
Sometime in July, there's going to be a derby up around Kansas City for it's a memorial derby for one of AJ Bauer's cousins that passed away this last year. Be sometime in July. It's going to be somewhere around an SS build. I don't know the exact rules yet. I'm sure AJ can hook you up on the rules whenever they come out, but I am planning on going up there and running that just to help show the love for AJ Bauer.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people. He's been running the sport for years, and um, he's ran it at all levels.
So
He's a
thanks for letting
he's a
me
good
do that.
guy.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, yeah, Tyler. When you get more information on that, let me know, like what the name of it is and stuff.
I will do. The only thing I've got on it's through Snapchat, so nothing's 100% set in stone yet.
So April 20th is the first figure eight for all those that didn't hear. Um, I'm guessing it'll probably be in Russellville, but don't quote me on that. That's just usually where they open the season. Oh, Josh was shaking his head. Yes,
Yeah,
so
that's where it'll be.
that'll be all. I do have to say something about the figure eight guys, man. These guys are working so hard. We got a whole bunch of new teams that I've got to get lined out on here because it's like every year I feel like we're part of the NFL. There's free agencies going on and new teams arise, and I just can't wait to see all these new builds up. I've been getting a bunch of Snapchats, and I know a lot of you guys are working hard. A lot of you guys have championship aspects in your mind, and like some of these guys say, sometimes it's just when you show up to the first show, that's when you become deciding you're going to run on points if you do good at the first show. So that's one you got to start it off with hot. Oh, great. I guess there's another 420. Joshua Craig said, must do that for the 420J. But thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see y'all next time on the Crashed It podcast. Send them and bend them. Send them and bend them.
See you at Carnage.